Welcome to Behind the Book. It's time now for Behind the Book, hosted by Tess Thompson and Karen McQuestion, two authors with a passion for books, no filters, and limitless curiosity. Join them now to find out the real story behind your favorite books and authors. And now, Behind the Book.
Today on Behind the Book, we're very excited, especially me, to have Kristin Carey on the show. She is one of my oldest friends. We knew each other when we were 18 and 17 years old. We were freshmen together at USC in the acting program. So she agreed to come on today just to talk to us about character and sort of her perspective on what an actress would be looking for in regards to character and scripts and that sort of thing. So anyway, let me read her bio and then we'll get into the interview. Kristin always dreamed of being an actor and was lucky enough to be accepted into the prestigious BFA theater program at the University of Southern California. Since graduating, she has been fortunate to work in film, television, and stage in Los Angeles for over 25 years. Having appeared in over 40 television shows, currently Kristin can be seen on Bosch, Lucifer, I Think You Should Leave, and recurring on LA's Finest as Terry Mitchell, and Miles Teller's boss, Captain Sylvia Wilcox, say that one 3 times fast, in Too Old to Die Young, which premiered at Cannes, so exciting, helmed by the incomparable Nicholas Winding Refn, if I said that right.
Yeah.
She just wrapped Gaslit, NCIS, LA, and For All Mankind. And her bio goes on and on, but we don't have enough time to go through all the different things she's been on. It's so exciting. Welcome, Kristin. We're so excited to see you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about what attracted you to the acting profession and your journey from dreaming about it as a little girl until now.
It's so funny. I think it picks you, right? Because I think from when I could speak or even have any sort of movement, my parents said I was just put on shows and it was, dancing on the tables at nursery school, which I got kicked out of. But, it was things like that. They knew either I was going to be a stripper or a actor. No, I'm kidding. Because what am I doing? My daughter is 4 and she's dancing on the tables. So, and I really can't dance that well. Tess knows because we were in dance class together. It's not one of my strong suits, but I think it's just, I don't know. I felt like I was born with it. It's in my soul. It's in the deepest cell of every part of me. I can never imagine doing anything else. I don't ever want to do anything else. I will probably die in a dressing room or a trailer or on stage. And yeah, so, growing up in a small town, I just did community theater and my parents wouldn't let me do anything professionally until I went to college. So I just did what I did in my small town, which was wonderful. And I had a ball doing it and I love the stage and it got me set up to have this career because I think stage is the most important thing an actor can do, to be on stage, to prepare themselves. And, I got accepted into college and had an amazing 4 years. I don't remember much of it. We'll go into that later. I have a terrible memory. And not because I was drinking or on drugs, but because I don't know what it is.
In your defense, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Yes.
But I have a lot of memories of you and during those 4 years. And what I was going to say about, choosing you have one of those personalities, personas, whatever you want to call it, and you're just absolutely gorgeous. People cannot take their eyes off of you. Like it truly is what God made you to do. Like I knew it from the very first time I ever met you. And you were really young when we started because you were only 17. I don't know how I remember that, but you were a little bit younger than everybody else.
Yeah.
You don't remember things and I do, which I don't know what that says about either one of us. But anyway, I'm so excited to hear more about what you're up to, but we're going to go on to the next question because I'm hogging time.
Kristin, I'm really wondering, when you get a script and you're reading it over, what is it about a character that you find intriguing? And jumping off on that, what can you tell us about characterization that would help novelists and screenwriters?
When I'm first looking at a script, you take it in, you read it once, you try to digest it, see what role am I playing in this? Why is she here? Why is my character here? And what does she have to offer? What I look at is what the other characters say about me, to provide some sort of a background for my character, if that makes sense, because you guys are the most important key writers, the absolute most important key to a project. It is, you are setting everything up for us. I mean, if I could sit in a room with every writer of every project that I've ever done and be able to talk to them for hours, it would be a dream. And or sit and table read with them and do all that stuff, because it's, you created it. You know exactly what you wanted. You have the background, the back history, and I just find that fascinating because I'm not a writer. So that's why if a book has been turned into a script, I go read the book, because that's where all the gems are. The script has to keep it pretty tight. I don't know if you ladies have written a script, but you lose a lot of, say the character's name's Evelyn. You lose a lot of Evelyn. You see, oh yeah, she has a husband and she has 3 kids, and oh, she has a dog. Okay, great. She lives in a small suburbia town. She's head of the PTA, blah, blah, blah. You get all this this information. But then the actor kind of has to create a lot of it themselves of who she is. Like your book we'd go into her whole history of Evelyn, right?
Right.
Where she grew up. Is this her first marriage, second marriage? Where'd she go to college? I mean, I create a whole profile of a character, but I'll have to make a lot of it up and use my imagination.
Right. Especially with scripts and in play.
Yeah.
And I remember that was always one of the instructions when we were studying acting was, in plays, it's such a small amount of information that the writer really can give, and it's only through dialogue that you can give those clues. So I remember when I switched from playwriting to novel writing, I was like, oh my gosh, I can tell the reader all this stuff. Like, I don't have to try to tell it with one line of dialogue that somebody else says about this character. So I think it's really interesting, and probably what the takeaway for writers is, the more detail, the more just in-depth character work that we can do, is it gives the actor that much more to work with.
Like, even if Evelyn speaks softly and timidly to her husband, I mean, even something like that, you're like, okay. I mean, that's a clue. Like, you start to see, oh, okay, what's going on? That's interesting. What's making her tick? Why, and why is this story being told? Is this one part of their lives that we're going to see for the next hour and a half on screen that has led up to this one moment? I've worked with Aaron Sorkin several times. I'm not getting an Aaron Sorkin script every time. Let's put it that way. Meaning,
but in all the times you've done movies and television, is it generally the case that you don't talk to the writer, that you just have to add your own take on the material based on what you're given?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends, of course. But a lot of times the lower budget stuff, you can maybe talk to the writers and the directors. The directors also, because they have their vision, and usually they're pretty open. So you can definitely go up to them, go, this is my take on this. And look, if you've been hired already, they like what you're doing. Meaning, whatever I presented, however I decided to audition for this role, whatever I gave them, the elements are there. So I'm on the right track, and then maybe dig a little deeper, or the director will start fine-tuning and line to line kind of thing.
One of the fundamental acting, the craft of it is you're always supposed to figure out what do you want from the other character. And that is actually the same concept for writing. It's the same thing. It's like you look at a scene, you say, what's the conflict? What does this person want versus that person? So it's all basically the same idea. And I think that helps me as a writer, just having had that experience looking at scripts or whatever as an actor,
Right. True. And the obstacles that come into play, and, you understand the arc, the beginning, middle, end. I mean, there's all that stuff that if you don't know any of that, it must be really challenging to write.
All right. Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about a personal story of yours. You have kind of a dramatic story of your own. Would you mind sharing about how you found your sister? And you describe the feelings associated with finding out about such a life-changing event.
Well, as everyone in high school and growing up knew about me, or they always tell me, because again, I don't remember anything. They're like, Kristin, all you ever talked about They're like, all you ever talked about was having a sister or a brother. Literally, it was like crazy obsessive. Like for Christmas, every Christmas, I asked for a brother or sister. I mean, even when I started in high school, it's like, really? And I don't know, I think somewhere down deep inside, I must have known on some level, spiritual level, that I had a full blood sister out there somewhere. Not, obviously I didn't know that, but I felt something was missing in my life, my whole life. I don't know what it was. It was hard to explain. So yeah, my husband set up, it wasn't my husband at the time, but he decided to set up a website for me for my, stuff, pictures, all that kind of stuff. Because me, my technical stuff, I couldn't do it myself. So he did it, and he attached an email address to it, which I still have. I don't like the email address. It's actress Kristin Carey. I'm like, honey, really? It's so on the nose. But he just did it, so it's fine. And I guess she had been searching or had stuff out, like always searching, always looking. And this happened to pop up into her, I guess. I still don't understand how that's why there's divine guidance in our lives, I feel. She saw the website pop up. She looked at it, and her husband's like, wow, she looks just like you. Your eyes are identical. So I get, so she had been searching, and she had gotten a letter. When my father died in 2006, Catholic Charities sends the adopted child, their birth father's name. And you cannot get it until they die. Everything's closed. So she had his name, George F. Carey III, and she had done research and then finally in 2009 had seen my grandfather's obituary. So that, who has the same name, and then saw my father's name. So then her detective work started going into full force, and she still was, there's a lot of Kristin Careys, So I guess when that came up, everything kind of came together, and she emailed me. So if he hadn't attached that email, I don't know how she would have found me. And I got an email one day, and I looked at it, and I'd almost deleted it. And it said, I believe we share the same father. She thought we were half-sisters at that moment. And I would love to, I'm a doctor in Pennsylvania. I would love to talk to you, et cetera. So I was like, oh my God, I'm in shock. Like, you're kind of like, I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, okay, this woman's claiming that Dad's her father. And then I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, sorry, guys.
You can say that. It's okay. You can say it on here.
Oh, farts. So I was thinking, I was like, oh gosh, my dad might have, I don't know, had an affair in college, or he played basketball in Rome, Italy for the American team, and he was there studying, et cetera. But so my mom, I go, did Dad have a girlfriend before you? And she's like, no. I said, okay. And so this went on for several minutes. And finally I said, my stomach was hurting. And I said, wait a minute, is this your and Dad's kid? And she said, no. Like, denial, party of one. Talk about a character to write. Like, she couldn't even answer the question. And then she started crying. So, so I knew right away, obviously, that so it was this crazy, amazing, to flash forward. She came out a month later. We got on the phone the next day and talked. And my mom talked to her. But the crazy thing is I had to email her back and just say, you're not my half sister. You're my full blood sister. And I guess my brother-in-law said that when she got that letter, she's not one to be a crier. And she just lost it, because her whole life she was adopted and felt adoptive kids have this black hole. They have this feeling of not being wanted, a lot of them, from experience that I've talked to. And she finally felt like she had found her family. So then when we met, she came out a month later with my niece and nephew and the husband. And it was like we had known each other for our entire lives. It was spectacular. It was like nothing I've ever experienced. I was flying high I still am. It's unbelievable. I'm so grateful that it happened. I'm so grateful for my husband that I'd met him, because she might have found me at some point, but it might have been a lot later. She was my maid of honor at my wedding. I mean, it's been 10 years since we found each other, and just so many crazy things and so many things had to fall into place. I'm very grateful. I'm so lucky. And she's she feels so at home now, and to have me, and we have a very tight relationship. So I did a one-woman show about it at the Hollywood Fringe Theater Festival. So that was fun.
After you did the show, did you have a lot of people come up to you and share stories?
Yeah, it's so common. I mean, the full blood isn't as common, but a lot of the half sister and brothers, my parents, they got pregnant in college, and my grandparents didn't want it to happen. So that's, my parents immediately, Catholic Charities, my mom went in there, had the baby. I can't imagine. And then it was basically ripped away from her the second she gave birth. They take the baby and that's it. My dad had gone to basic training and came back and said, let's get her back, because he realized, he realized that it was a mistake. But at that time, in 1968, when she was born, the rights are definitely with the adoptive parents and not the birth parents. And that's since changed quite a bit, but they couldn't get her back. We had a very similar upbringing. We're both left-handed. We both excelled in tennis and swimming and cheerleading. She's definitely not an actor. She's a doctor. But we laugh the same. We walk the same. It's weird. People that see her and see me, it freaks them out that know me really well. Nature versus nurture, right?
Yeah. Okay. I have one follow-up question.
Yeah.
And then we'll go on from this, but I think this will help writers. So a lot of times in our stories, a dramatic event happens to our character, something that like sets forward, a bunch of other stuff that happens in their life.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to capture something that shocking if you have not experienced it yourself. So if you can you describe what happened to your body, and you know what I mean? Like, how long did it take you to understand that it was true, all that stuff?
Yeah, great question. So what happened, though, I remember the initial shock, and then it's like reading the letter. And of course, then I think, wait, is this like a scam? Like, and then your brain starts reeling, and then it's like your whole life starts playing back, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're like, well, okay, wait a minute. So my parents knew this. Why didn't they ever tell me? My dad's dead. So when my dad died, so literally all that's going through my head. I'm driving as I'm talking to my mom. I'm like out of my mind. Like, it's that feeling of shock is different for everybody, like shock of finding out someone died, shock of finding, some people cry, I get very still. It's a weird stillness that happens to me, and I go really into my brain, and a lot of crying later on once I talk to her. But then I got very angry, and I guess that's quite normal. I talked to a therapist about it, but I was really mad at my parents for lying to me my entire life. It was a real, like a F you, I felt. I mean, I get it, but I think they should have told me, because it's a hard thing to be lied to. And I think that's why I started looking back, why I have so many trust issues. I was being lied to since I was little. I was asking about a brother or sister every single Christmas, and I'm sure they were in pain too. So and I've since come around full circle to realize the amount of pain my poor mother and father must have experienced. And I knew something, like there was a tension between them I could never figure out. And I thought it was me, or that I wasn't wanted. It was weird. It was like, maybe they didn't want me before I even knew I had a sibling. Like, why are they together? Why, it was this whole strange thing that happened. But yeah, it was almost like the death of my old self. And now I have a sister, and I'm a little sister. I have a big sister. And it's just this thing of, I feel like I have someone to take care of me in a strange way. Like I always took care of myself. And I never really had that. And I always had girlfriends around me that had sisters, and I loved it so much. But the emotional level was a roller coaster ride of many things. And it took me a while to heal that and to forgive my mom and dad for my dad's passed, so I couldn't. But to forgive them, because if they had not given her away, I might not be here. And I had to realize that, because I was born literally 15 months later. So my mom was like digging her heels in and go, nope, we're keeping this one. You made me give up that one, and they stayed together. So it's not all, puppies and flowers or happy. It was the initial was happy. And then I went into a little darker, angrier, not victim necessarily, but just, it was. So I hope that helps, because there's definitely a lot to play with in how people process shock and great news and exciting news. And she does nothing but love me and care for me. Look, this could have gone terribly wrong. Not everyone is meant to be together. And I could have been a complete fuck up. She could have been a complete psycho. And I mean, it happens. And thank God we're not.
It's a really incredible story. If you don't mind, I want to switch back to the acting part of your life.
Sure.
I'm in Wisconsin, so your life is as different from mine as it could be. I'm wondering, how does this work for you? Do you audition for parts? Do you have a manager or agent that lets you know when there's a part available? How do you get started? And then what is it like once you're on set?
So I have a manager, I have a theatrical agent, I have a commercial agent, I have a print agent and voiceover. So everyone does their own thing, and you sometimes an offer can come in from people that have worked with me before. That's always nice. You don't have to audition, but most of the time, I love auditioning. Some actors are like, I don't want to audition. I love it, and so the breakdowns come out, and the agents get them. And they submit my picture, and then the casting person says, "Yeah, we want to see her." And then the audition comes through with the sides and or the script or both. And then now, because of COVID, we put ourselves on tape in our living room. So it's been strange for 2 years, acting and not really having any direction, because that's the great thing about going in with casting people. They can tweak you a little bit, and it's helpful to get a note. So that's kind of how it works. And then you get put on a veil, or what they call pinned or put on a veil. And they usually put a couple of people on. And then they have to run you through the network. If it's television, they have to get you approved. And then they decide, they show all the producers, and you either get the job or don't. So it's a lot of people have to say yes. It's crazy. And film is the same thing. As the studio has to approve you. And because I just did a great movie with Peter Farrelly and in November, who won the Oscar for Green Book. I've worked with Peter before that, but I just did his latest one with Russell Crowe and Bill Murray. And I think it's going to be really special. It's set in 1960s. So again, I had to have a lot of approvals, boom, 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 to get the part. And he called me personally, which was really sweet, to say I got the part. So that was thrilling. Yeah, it was really thrilling.
Exciting.
But and the gentleman I'm in all the scenes with is Zac Efron, and he was lovely. Sweet, sweet, sweet soul. Oh, and then what was the second question? Being on set, you said?
Yeah. What is it like being on set? And I also wondered about the script. Do they ever make changes partway through?
Oh gosh, absolutely. Things change, especially in sitcoms, because you're there for the whole week and things are changing every day. Theatrical, it's fairly set. But I'll get hired on a Wednesday. Maybe I'm shooting a week later. I keep getting different scripts literally every day. They're like yellow pages, pink pages, blue pages, which means they keep changing. Not necessarily my stuff, but there's been a change to maybe another scene, but they still have to send out the changes. They're still always, tweaking. And then you get the final one. You show up and still things could obviously change. You just got to be ready to go, adaptable, ready to go left, right, whenever they ask. It can be stressful. That happened to me with Aaron Sorkin, and I about lost my mind. And because it was a long, huge paragraph. And Emily Mortimer came up to me. She goes, "Don't worry. Go to your trailer. You're going to be fine." Because she saw my face. And she goes, "Just go to you're going to be fine." And, you just have to just kind of buckle down and do the best you can. They know. They just gave you new lines. They know that they're asking a lot. But you want to be able to do it and give them what they want. Being on set can be so boring, especially now with COVID. Because literally you kind of have to stay in your trailer. So you bring stuff to do. There's usually a television in there. But before, I love being on sets. It's just fun to hang out. That's the best part. You have lunch together, you're hanging out, you're rehearsing. But things have shifted a bit just because of zones can't cross each other. I'm a zone A, I can't be with zone B or zone C. They keep everyone separate. I think it's lightening up a little bit. But the best part, especially on low budget stuff, the indies are fun.
So here's another thing we're curious about.
Yeah.
So we can barely even stand to listen to our own books in audio. We're just cringing the whole time. Oh, maybe I should only speak for me.
No, that's true for me as well.
I
Yeah.
thought so, because I think we've talked about it before.
Mhm.
Do you watch yourself on screen? Like, how do you feel about that? Is it weird?
Yeah, it's so funny because last night I was on Super Pumped, which is a TV show on Showtime. So my episode aired, and I knew it was up, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I don't want to watch it. I really don't want to watch it. Like, and so my husband goes, "You got to come out here and watch this," because he had already watched it. And I'm like, all right. But it was, yeah, it's hard. What's really hard is sitting in a big movie theater with everybody at the premiere and you haven't seen it. That's hard. And you're like, oh
Yeah.
no, oh no. I mean,
Oh God.
oh God.
Yeah.
But gosh, what I think about is what was going on that day in my head. I think about, where we were. So it's fine. Yes. As we get older, ladies, it does get, you're like, ooh, wow.
Yeah.
That HD is brutal. But
True.
But it's like, thank God I'm a character actress. I don't care. I prefer when I look like no makeup. I'm like, yes, please. Because trying to keep up looking like, oh, my lipstick, my blush, it's like, that's too much. We're playing something in the 1800s. Fantastic. I don't need makeup. Great. Let's go. Because it's, but you just gotta, I've let it go. I don't worry about the weight. I don't worry about, I really just worry about the work. That's what's most important to me now. It used to be reverse. Now it's meaning I'm so worried about what I look like. Who cares? You're either going to cast me or not. I'm right or I'm not. I'm what you're looking for or I'm not. And that's it. Once you let that go, it's a lot of freedom.
That's one of the joys, I think, of getting older, is that you're able to sort of change your priorities to what really matters and
You're
kind
right.
of discard everything else. Now, we had talked about the auditioning process, and we share a commonality, which is you probably have faced some rejection, which I have, and Tess has. How do you deal with that? And what keeps you going?
Oh, gosh. Well, I remember my mom used to tell me in my 20s, and I'm sure Tess will remember, right when we got out of college, how hard it was. It's like there's no roadmap, and it was so hard. And getting an audition, and then not getting something. Everything was in that audition, and I would just cry and cry on the phone with my mom, and she said it was heartbreaking to listen to it. And she's like, it's so funny. I forget. Literally, I had probably 7 auditions last week. I honestly, if my agent called me right now and goes, oh yeah, they want you for that. I'm like, okay, which one is that? Because I don't know, don't remember, don't care, because I just do the work. I leave it all out there and I'm done. So I handle rejection. I don't take it personally anymore. It's not an attack on me. It's not because they don't like me or think I'm ugly or, it's not that. Maybe they do. Who cares? It's their opinion. But, in my 20s, I cared so much what people thought. And now, like you said, as we get older, I have 0 fucks. Like, I don't. Honestly, it's like, if you have a problem with me, that's your problem, not mine. And if I don't get cast, it just wasn't meant to be. I feel we get the roles we're supposed to get. I feel I do. A lot of times my life is imitating art, imitating life. It's happened a lot. Like, I'll be focused on something in my own life, and sure enough, a project will come along that will make me face it or face my fears. It's really interesting how that can work sometimes. Yeah. And I feel, again, it's divinely guided. And I'm sure you guys as writers, the divine, however you believe in that, it comes through you. Like my acting, I'm not taking any credit. I feel I source into something because a lot of times I didn't remember. I would do a performance and you're so in the moment that you're not thinking about it. You're not watching yourself from above. So I feel I am blessed with, that sounds really weird. I'm blessed with the talent.
No, we get it.
That's not what I mean, but it's not, I can't take credit for what I look like. It's my parents. Or my ancestors. I can't take credit for this. Yes, I do the work, but then I let it go and I just let my instincts and everything take over. get
I
out of
think
my
what
own
you
way.
mentioned is what writers call being in the zone.
Mm-hmm,
Because I've
mm-hmm.
had that happen where I later reread something I've written, barely remember writing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome. Yes, totally. As an actor,
Yeah.
yes, there is a zone and there is a sweet spot. And I really feel it has to do with relaxation and really just being present and grounded and being your authentic self and not letting anything get in the way of that. And just, I guess it's the not caring about just doing what you guys do, telling your stories and being truthful and honoring the story you're telling.
All right, so I have a whole bunch of characters in my books that are actresses. As a matter of fact, I
Yep.
have this whole fake Hollywood world that I created
Oh,
with all these actresses in it, and one of them's won the Oscar. I mean, the whole thing.
awesome.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, I have called you before to ask you
Mm-hmm.
for advice about certain things, and one of them was the red carpet. And
Oh,
it has really nothing to do with writing, except that when you described it to me, it was so vivid and I used it exactly how you described it. And so I just wanted you to share it with our listeners. What is it like on the red carpet?
oof. Well, every red carpet is different depending on the size of the film. My husband was in Green Book, so that was quite a spectacle. We did the New York premiere and the LA premiere and stuff, so that was awesome. But I walked it, but I didn't, and got photographed, but didn't speak. So when I did Hall Pass, it was my first red carpet with Owen Wilson, Jason Sudeikis, Stephen Merchant, blah blah, all these people. And I had PR people. So what you do and what you don't know about the red carpet is there's a million PR people around, and you have to be, there is an order of how you go. You don't want to go too early or too late, right? You don't want to get stuck, because I'm not a star. I don't want to get stuck behind Owen Wilson because no one cares. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's focused on Owen or Jason Sudeikis. It's a really funny game that you play. So your PR people time it for you. They print your name out on a sheet, your name and a little bit about you, and all the photographers shoot it before you get there. So they know who's coming and there's an order. So the second you step on, it's like, oh my God, 1,000 light bulbs, those flashes are going off, and your name is being screamed at the top of everyone's lungs. Kristin, over here, Kristin. It was the most unbelievable. It was crazy. And you gently keep stepping over, and you guys have watched the Oscars, and you just keep walking, but you stop every couple inches because you're in front of another zone of photographers, and you're looking up and you're looking left and you're looking right and you're looking this way, and who are you wearing? I was like, oh Lord. So you keep going. You finish that, which is a crazy town. Then you get to the interviewers that then you go down the line. It took me an hour to get down this red carpet for Hall Pass, because you're getting interviewed. Like, they're all right next to each other. So then you're interviewing with Access Hollywood, then you're interviewing with ABC News. So you go down and everyone's asking you, then you're Telemundo, I don't know, anyone. So you have to make sure you eat before you go on a red carpet. And I'm sure because the energy is so much, and your brain needs to work, and you need to be funny and quick, and they ask you questions and funny stuff. And, there's this thing I said, they said, who was your Hall Pass be? Which meaning a Hall Pass is like who your husband will let you have sex with, right? So without even thinking, I'm like, I didn't even think about that question. And I said, Clive Owen, because I love Clive Owen. And it's still out there circulating, that video. And it's like, God, Clive Owen. Clive Owen must be like, oh my, who is this nut job?
Who is this crazy lady?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, okay, yeah, okay. Anyway, so it was fun, it was fun. It's stressful to get the right dress, to get the right this. I don't walk very well in high heels, never have, never will. And, so the modeling career never happened because I don't walk well. I'm like, if I could be in tennis shoes, that would be my dream. Yeah. So it's fun, but it's a lot. And then you get into the theater and you sit down and you're like, good Lord, it's crazy. It can be crazy, especially if you're in the movie. If you're just there as a guest, it's usually real quick, couple pictures and you move on.
So how long does it typically take to do hair and makeup on set? I would imagine that there's a range, but I don't.
Yeah. The first ADs really keep that moving because, like call times, it depends. But usually mine are 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning. And you usually get, because of COVID, you got to test and do all other nonsense. But they want to get it in under an hour. That's 40, even lower than that. It's a tight schedule, unless it's prosthetics or extensions or something crazy. But usually makeup's pretty, I'm sure you guys watch, television. It's pretty light. It's not, they don't do a ton of makeup on you. They just do a nice base. I come usually with my hair kind of done so that they can just do what they want with it.
All right, one more before we do our fun extra questions at the end. What's the difference in the process and experience from filming a popular mainstream television show, a full-length film, or an indie film? We're assuming there are many different degrees of budgets, etc. And how does that affect both you as the actress and possibly the writers?
Yeah, like going into a hit television show, you're stepping in as a guest, right? And, I just stepped into SWAT last week before, and they couldn't, you're treated, the series regulars on the show, they treat you like you're royalty. Everyone is just so kind, and they're so, not every set is like that. They happen to be it's a well-run machine, right? They're going into their 6th season. So everyone just moves at a nice clip. It's relaxed because they've been doing it for 5 years. So they have guest directors, and there's a nice ease about a hit television show, and I'm sure pressure too. I didn't feel that. It's a well-oiled machine. Let's just put it that way. It's like the director wants to talk a little bit more about character, and you have a little more time. There's not rush. Some shows, they hire you, do what you did at the audition. We're not going to, and let's go. A lot of times, not a lot of time for discussion. A film is different because that's a whole group of people together for the first time, most likely. And depending on how much you're in the film or when you're coming into the film, it depends on, and if they're behind or over budget. There's so many factors that can come into what's going on set, but most of the time actors are pretty insulated from that stuff. And again, you can't take things personally. You just got to go and do your job the best you can, be gracious, kind to every single person. I can't stress that enough because we have no idea the stress of movie making is, I know a lot of producers, and it's a lot. So and then indie, I think that's like a run and gun. Like, I'm like, do we have a permit for this? No. Okay, great. Let's go. It's like, nope. Oh,
that's a lot like indie publishing.
Yeah. Right. So it's like, nope, we don't. Oh, are we allowed to be here? No. Okay, let's go. Just start walking. Kristin, say your dialogue. We're going to find you with the camera. I said, fantastic. So it's fun. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. But I feel like I don't change who I am or how my work ethic is depending on it doesn't change. If I'm on a $50 million movie or, $100,000 indie, I treat them the same because at the end of the day, it's my work that's up there, and I want to be true to the script, true to the character, and true to myself. But the craft service is much better on high budget.
I can imagine.
So much better. No Subway sandwiches.
Well, I think this is the part where I ask you our fun extra questions, if you're up to this, Kristin.
Yes, please.
Okay. The first one is, what is one food that will never get past your lips?
Ooh. Anchovies or sardines.
Who would you want to play you in a movie? Which is a funny question for an actor.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You can play yourself.
Tess Thompson. Oh, no. Okay.
We could do one of those Freaky Fridays where you're a writer and I'm an actor. See how that goes.
Yes. Oh, you poor thing. Your dialogue would be terrible. That I'm writing for you. Let's see. I love Chloe Moretz Grace. I think her name.
Oh, I love her too. Yes.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah.
What superpower would you pick given the opportunity?
Oof. I would love to be able, I don't know if this is technically a superpower. I'd love to be able to travel back in time. I don't know if that's a superpower. Is it? Maybe.
Yeah, that counts. Yeah.
If it doesn't, I would love invisibility, to be able to be anywhere and not be seen.
What's one thing you're really bad at?
Well, we stated that earlier. technical anything, dancing, and oh gosh, probably rapping. No, I'm kidding. Wrapping presents and or just rapping beatbox.
You really only needed one thing, but bonus points for extras.
Yeah,
I have a long list.
Kristen's an overachiever in that one.
What is the worst job you've ever had?
Cleaning toilets at I lived in a development in Northern California. It was like a little housing development. They had a little country club, which really wasn't a country club, with a pool. And I cleaned the toilets, which toilets aren't fun to clean. So
no,
yeah,
they are not.
No, they are not. No.
If you could instantly become an expert in something, what would it be?
Oof, gosh, so many things. You would think I would have taken advantage during the pandemic. Languages, cooking. I know, I have another long list. Okay, that's good. Languages and cooking.
Okay, you're covered. What's your favorite smell?
Ooh. I love rose. I get these soaps, these rose soaps. They just are divine. So many. I don't even know. Gosh, lavender, rose. I can't think of that one flower that blooms around here. Anyway, there we go. Memory.
What is the most terrifying thing you've ever done?
Auditioning to get into college. That Tess can probably agree with me. Maybe not on that one. That was intense. I had never been
terrifying.
I had never been on a stage that big and monologues and had to sing. Yeah, that was pretty terrifying.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Food or just anything?
In general.
Oh, okay. Guilty pleasure. I do love to snuggle in bed, drink my coffee, and watch, anything, because I just don't have the time to watch TV. But it is indulgent to me to lay in bed with coffee or anything, wine, food, whatever, and just snuggle and watch television.
And our last question, if you could live your life over again, would you want to?
Well, yes, I would. If I could change a few things, that'd be awesome, but that's not the question. Yes, I would, because I'm where I am at right now, and I am so grateful and so happy and so blessed to be able to get to do what I get to do every day. So, yes.
Okay, well, this has been so much fun. I'm glad that you were able to take time out of all your busy filming schedule to be with us.
Oh, yes. I have one thing that I didn't get to talk about real quick. I started a nonprofit, and it's dear to my heart, and I just wanted to put it out there, the Giving Station LA, and we help the homeless and we help kids. And I started it during the pandemic with my best friend, and it's kind of dominating now. It's been really fulfilling, and I feel so lucky to be able to give. And I think that's, you talk about life lessons, like, I think being of service is the most important thing to do.
I agree.
So, yeah.
Do you have a website? Because we can put the link in our show notes.
Oh, yeah. It's thegivingstationla.org.
Okay. We'll make sure to include
guys.
it.
Thanks, guys.
Great to meet you, Kristin.
Nice to meet you guys.
All right.
Well, Tess, I know you, but yes, when I come up to Seattle, I want to visit you and Cliff.
Yes, we can't wait. Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Behind the Book, brought to you by authors Tess Thompson and Karen McQuestion. They hope you found it entertaining and informative. If you loved it, tell your friends. And if you have a moment, they'd love for you to post a star rating or review. This has been Behind the Book.